We got preseason movers here on the RotoWire podcast. I've got LaQuan Jones from the NFL Network at Real Deal Fantasy coming up next. Welcome, everybody, to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast, brought to you by the good folks at Circa, at Renegade Fantasy, and Fantrax. Jeff Erickson here with LaQuan Jones from the NFL Network. Just finished his podcast over there. We had him on last year during the season in November. Excited to get you on in the preseason this year, help people prepare for their drafts. How you doing?
Good, man. Yes, we are back in the grind, man. Draft season is here. I have 2 drafts coming up this weekend and 2 more the following weekend, which is insane. So we are in the middle of it, ready for the season.
How many do you end up saying? Not best ball, but just managed leagues. How many do you guesstimate that you end up doing every year?
I would say this, man. At one point, I was in the 30s. I've cut it down year after year. Right now, I'm at a good spot at 18, and I'll say a good spot where, like, I know next year somebody's going to ask me, and I'm probably going to say yes. So we'll probably back in the 30s in no time.
Yeah, that's my problem. Is every year I'm saying, okay, I got to cut back on one less fab, one less thing to manage. But it's not like baseball. I can pick up one more. You want to do this startup dynasty? Sure. Why not?
Sure. Yeah. But every year it comes around draft season where you see the rookies and you get all excited about it. Mm-hmm. And this year, like, the running back group was so deep where I'm like, yeah, I can't say no to startups, man. I really want to be on this ride with some of these running backs this year.
Exactly. That's exactly how I am. And, hey, if the moment I stop becoming that way is maybe when I finally realize I'm not in the right business, but it's been 28 years, so probably in the right business. So because it's still a thrill.
Yeah, man. We still get that good feeling of drafting.
Exactly here. All right. So we're going to do some news items, but the premise of today's show is preseason developments that will quote unquote rock your draft. Some of the things that actually move the needle here. We'll talk a little Travion Henderson. We'll talk about some other guys that are maybe risers and fallers. But first, James Cook. We no longer have to worry. We can get off the ledge about that contract situation. He is in the barn.
He's here. He's locked in. I'm actually excited for him, man. And a lot of people were sleeping on him. And the reaction to what the fantasy streets were telling me this morning, like, we're still kind of low on him. And, like, folks are looking at his snap share last year, but there's other guys that also played less than 50%, if 50%. And I think that him being used efficiently in the Joe Brady offense has been the best thing that has happened to him, man. Because when we look at the comparison, it's completely night and day of his usage under Ken Dorsey and Joe Brady. Like, I just put up a tweet right now, and the numbers are glaring. Like, with Ken Dorsey, James Cook was averaging 8 fantasy points per game since he's entered the building in 2022. Terrible production. Now, since Joe Brady took over the reins, and of course, this is including playoffs, and those last 9 games in 2023, we're looking at James Cook averaging 16.6 fantasy points per game since Joe Brady has taken over as the offensive coordinator. This is RB1 numbers. These are the numbers that we honestly look for when we're drafting these guys, and James Cook's going in like the 3rd round right now. And I'm just like, thank you. After going heavy, double tapping on the wide receiver in 1st round and the 2nd round, I am happily okay with James Cook as my RB1.
Yeah, he dropped all the way to 43 in the last 2 weeks over the NFFC, and that's a full point PPR league too. So I get that a little bit because every once in a while, like, Ty Johnson's going to steal some targets, some 3rd down reps for him. But yes,
have him.
Yeah. You know what? The thing is, like, he's not going to score 16 touchdowns again. Probably not. But regress to what? As my friend Scott Pianowski always likes to say, it's going to be like, what, 12? Still be pretty solid.
14? Maybe. Yeah. Who cares? But the thing with James Cook is that I'm chasing opportunity here, Jeff, because again, last season was the first season since 2019 that Josh Allen did not lead the Bills in goal line carries. And I'm looking like, is that right? Yeah. Yes, it is right. And ever since Joe Brady has taken over the sticks, here's another stat for you. In red zone carries, 83 carries to Allen's 62. Just under Joe Brady. Now you look at Ken Dorsey, you look at Josh Allen, 44 carries, Cook 29. That is very pitiful when you got 2 seasons of this RB1. You're holding him back. So Joe Brady has brought out the best version of James Cook. So I don't want to hear the fantasy streets coming to me in my DMs talking about Bucky Irvin or talking about Kyron Williams. No, give me some James Cook because I feel very, very safe with the opportunities he's going to see in striking distance. All we care about is touchdowns, right? And that's exactly what he's been giving us.
Wait, so you're saying not? I know you're my Rams guy here. You're saying don't come at you with Kyron Williams.
Jeff, when we talk Rams, I'll get into it. We'll iron that. We'll iron out that puppy there.
Okay, very good, very good. But you know what? Kyron Williams did set the tone because he got his contract first, and that kind of set some of the groundwork for maybe what James Cook was going to do. I will say this: running backs are getting paid. I like that. It's a good development in football to see running backs get paid after what we saw, like Lev Bell, Melvin Gordon. There was a stretch there where running backs just couldn't get their that second contract.
Yeah.
We're starting to see that a little bit more.
Yeah, guys are starting to get paid now. I mean, that's a hefty guarantee for James Cook. That's the highest that it's been in guarantee money in the last 5 seasons for running back. So that's pretty amazing, And I kind of knew that maybe the Bills and Rams are playing a little chicken, even with the Jets in the mix with Breece Hall getting paid. Like, who's going to get paid first? Who's going to set the bar? And I do like the money that we gave Kyron. I say we as a Rams fan, obviously. But James Cook, man, I think that, him getting this bag, it kind of secures his spot as the guy over there in Buffalo. Like, we talk about Ray Davis, which I absolutely love. The guy is amazing. He's electric, head on the swivel when he's in a passing game. Ty Johnson's a third down back. Cool, great. But is he getting the ball in striking distance? No, that's not happening,
I just wish they'd use Cook more in those fourth down situations against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. He was so good at the goal line. Why doesn't that extend to some of these fourth down plays? Yes, the Chiefs had, for whatever reason, had cracked the Bills' sneak code. Okay, stop doing it. Do something else.
Do something else, man. Adapt. Joe Birdie needs to adapt, but we're working on it.
Yep. It's been a nightmare training camp for the Miami Dolphins. Got more bad news today. Chop Robinson got hurt. Man, I loved what Chop was doing at the end of the year last year. I couldn't be more down on the Dolphins. That's like even before the Jalen Ramsey deal, I was really kind of going heavy on the under at the 8. It was at 8.5. Now it's down to 7.5. This is just another brick in the wall.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you see a young player coming up, and like obviously the last couple seasons, man, that Dolphins defense have done with terrible injuries, and like it's taken them out of the mix to bring that pressure to the quarterbacks. And like Chop was out there chopping it. Like Chop was coming up strong in the back end of that season. You hate to see him go down, but thankfully on Instagram, he put it out there in his story that he's okay, nothing serious. So hopefully we're not dealing with something that it's going to keep him from week 1.
Yeah, and they're counting on Jalen Phillips to come all the way back. They're counting on Bradley Chubb to come all the way back. Let's not talk about their secondary because it's pretty bad. I really thought that Ramsey was going to the Rams. By the way,
I'm actually glad he didn't, because that's a hefty check. That's a hefty check. And again, if he ended up coming to the Rams, I wasn't going to be down about it because, again, we never had anybody like Ramsey when it comes to completing tackles, coming to making big plays, running sideline to sideline, getting back, showing accountability. Like Jalen Ramsey is a rare breed of a corner, and like I was happy the times that we had him, but when it comes to money where we had to pay our left tackle Ulrich Jackson, we had to end up paying Kyron Williams. Like there's still a lot of money that's going around that we want to kind of hold on to until we figure out what we're going to do with this secondary as well, because we got guys that are coming up that need to be paid, like Cam Curl, he's coming up, Byron Young, he's coming up as well, and then we got to think about next year and the year after that for Puka. Like what is this going to look like? So it's one of those things that I'm glad we didn't break the bank and kind of shook things up, but we're sitting kind of pretty right now with our secondary.
Yeah. All right. Well, very good. Let's talk a little bit about Malik Neighbors. Another one there. It's being, it's managing. He sat at a joint practice today. I should have, led with that, but they are talking about managing him a lot in training camp. I think this will extend to the regular season in terms of practices too. We're going to see that name on injury reports a lot as questionable on Wednesdays. I think by Friday he'll be okay in many cases, but it's just a reminder. The shoulder is there. The toe injury is going to be there. Jonathan Ogden lost his career to a turf toe. I don't think it rises to that level, but it's just a reminder that this is a real thing.
No, it's definitely a real thing you want to monitor. And like I do think some folks, they might be a little panicky when they see him pop up on the Wednesday report. But me, I'm cool, calm, and collected. I'm like, look, we know the type of player he is. We understand the situation he's in. And again, he is their most precious object, like they want to be very cautious with him. So like all these like injury reports right now, we are still like 2 to 3 weeks out from when these guys are going to get on the field where it counts. And I do think like right now they're playing it smart, because I am high on Malik Neighbors this season, where I'm willing to take him at the 105 spot if I'm sitting there in drafts this weekend. Like I'm really predicting like video game numbers for Malik Neighbors just based on the quarterback position. Like, it doesn't matter who you put back there. If it's Jameis Winston, he's going to air it out. Even if it's Jackson Dart, well, we've seen a little preview of what we saw in the preseason. He shows some confidence, some moxie, some swag to him. So I feel like he's going to be definitely one of the guys that will step in and elevate Malik Neighbors when that time comes. But you have Russell Wilson right now starting off as your starting quarterback, and Russ is going to cook in the first half of the season because that's all he does. And as soon as it gets cold outside, that's when the kitchen starts getting closed. You start forgetting the recipes. The food tastes a little different. That's kind of what Russell Wilson is, and we know that. But Russell Wilson, that moon ball, boy, that is one of the things that Malik Neighbors and the Giants were missing last season. They were dead last with a 20% success rate on deep ball passes. That is god awful. I mean, Tommy Cutlets, man, I love my folks from Jersey. I support all my New Jersey players and folks out there, but God, that is not it. He is not good right now. And looking at what Russell Wilson brings to the table, we're still looking at a guy that's one of the best completion percentages on deep ball, which was top 3 last season, actually number 2 behind Sam Darnold. So I'm looking at this like, oh, now we're going to get Malik Neighbors to get the deep ball. These yards are going to go up. The touchdowns are going to go up. We're going to start comparing him and having him in that same freak conversation of talent with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson just this season alone. So that's why I'm not really looking at these reports and panicking. I am taking Malik Neighbors off the board with confidence, and it's a full send.
Yeah, and you said 105. So does that mean over Jefferson, over Lamb, over Saquon? Who's dropping down there?
Look, at the 105 spot, it all depends by your leagues. Because look, I think 105 is where Saquon consensus, they really have him going. I'll take him over there. CD Lamb, sometimes I feel like he goes right before that 105 spot. But then there's times where I can have Malik Neighbors or CD Lamb. I could flip a coin there. Like, it really doesn't matter for me there. Like, you'll come out a winner if you go CD Lamb or Malik Neighbors right there. But it's like Jamar Chase, you know, he's the 101. But Justin Jefferson right now, it's still out with this hamstring, man. And like, not saying that, you know, it's going to be so similar to 2023 where he missed 7 games, but soft tissue injuries, man, it just makes you a little bit worried. And obviously not gaining that connection, that chemistry, you know, with JJ McCarthy, where this will be his full official year on the field as a starter. So it's like you have your concerns with Jefferson. Like, I'm not going to say fade him or like pivot otherwhere, but I'm just saying if I have the opportunity and I'm looking at Jefferson, CD, and Malik Neighbors, it's probably going to be CD and Neighbors over me taking Justin Jefferson there.
Okay, and you perfectly led me into the next topic, which was Justin Jefferson, because not yet practicing, but you know, they're saying all the right things. They're saying like, okay, he's not practicing yet, but he's exactly where we want to be. He's progressing. You know, it's training camp, you know, preseason non-injury report speak. Definitely progressing is what KOC said about him today.
Yeah.
Won't be evaluated or potentially practiced until next week though, and he obviously is not going to play the preseason game.
Yeah, so it's one of those things like, yeah, the injury, they're saying it's okay. And that's not necessarily like 100% of why I'm like pivoting to other options if I had to. It's more so the chemistry. Like, he's not on the field with JJ McCarthy, and this is your number 1 target, not being able to get that chemistry with your young quarterback that's still trying to develop. And again, I think JJ McCarthy has a great defense to practice against Brian Flores, because he is bringing all hell gates and chaos to him. So I do think, you know, we're going to see a JJ McCarthy that's serviceable, but it's just like, I don't need a slow start from a guy that I'm investing in the first 5 picks. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly right. We always kind of want to say if KOC can make Sam Darnold do what he did last year, well, definitely their first round pick McCarthy. But again, McCarthy just hasn't had the reps, so we'll
that's
see.
a dangerous mindset, because it's only been 1 year we've been able to point to that and look at that. You know, like it's not like, you know, there was ever a question about Kirk Cousins or whatever, and with KOC on the sticks, and even when he was on our coaching staff, ours as in the Rams, you know, in 2020, it was like, well, you know, Jared Goff, you know, it is what it is. You know, like, it's not like he's elevating him to be this Super Bowl, you know, type of quarterback. So again, that's a little bit of a dangerous mindset to just lock in your head and give that your reason of like, well, if Sam Darnold, I mean, that's only one example. That could be an outlier that everybody likes to, you know, point to sometimes, you know, but in other cases.
Yeah, he even got a good game out of Nick Mullins. So I mean, that's as bad as that's proof of concept right there. But
well, so did Kyle Shanahan.
I get on that. Yeah,
maybe Nick Mullins is good. Maybe Nick can do the job at a serviceable level for us to point to that. Like, you know,
yeah. It's true. It is true. And I think also the more Mullins plays, the more you get exposed, you know, that's when, of course, no amount of coaching can take care of that.
Yeah.
We're brought to you by the good folks over at Circa. Circa Million and Circa Survivor are back with a massive $21 million in guaranteed prizes. Circa Million is where you pick 5 games against the spread each week, 18 weeks of action with 126 ways to win. $1 million for the winner and $6 million guaranteed. Circa Survivor, 1 pick for a week, no point spread, lasts the longest to win it all, at least $15 million guaranteed. I will be entering my donation in Circa Survivor again this year. Hopefully I won't pick my Bengals in week 1, but in fact, I won't. But anyways, we'll see what else happens.
They won't have a slow start, man. They're going to be good.
They're always strong under Zach Taylor in the first 2 weeks of the season. Always strong. Totally safe. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere, $21 million guaranteed. Visit circusports.com for details. With LaQuan Jones here from NFL Network, our topic today, we're doing developments that will rock your draft board from the preseason. We're already seeing Travion Henderson rocket up draft boards. I've seen the ADP in the last 5 days. He's now ADP of 40. I've seen him go as early as 18, which is just crazy sauce, but still a lot of good. It's not just the kickoff return. It's not just that 18-yard run. He was getting raves even before that in training camp.
Listen, whatever sauce it is, I want it on my wings, man. I am buying the hype because honestly, when you see these clips and you hear the reports, boy, how can't you get excited? Like, I do think, the 100-yard kick return definitely bumped that up. That went to the wazoo. But even before that happening, like that already just confirmed my priors. Like I was already moving him up slowly but surely up my draft board. And we're at the point now where I feel a lot more comfortable taking Travion Henderson at cost of where he's going in drafts than Amari Hampton. I tell you that. And where you're looking at this situation, does it sound crazy that he can have 70 catches this year? Does it sound crazy he can possibly be the second target in this offense? I mean, I don't know. I'm flirting with it where I'm like, I might be like all in on this guy. Like these next couple drafts I have coming up, I kind of want to keep the room quiet. There's some folks in my leagues that don't be on Twitter like the degenerates that we are that are keeping up with all these beat reporters and everything else. But it's like, man, how can't you buy into this guy? He can pass block. He could take it from his own 40 to the house. I mean, he's showing us he could do 100 yards on a kick return. So it's like the way I'm seeing him being utilized, like he's going to be a receiver threat. He's going to be great in between the tackles. Like everything we've seen from him from college is translating right now into preseason and practice. I get it. I know. But man, this is just one of those things like you want to jump on this train right now before it gets way too expensive next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And you brought up a really good point too, is we play with a lot of regs. We play with a lot of degenerates that are like, on the news cycle, just soaking in the fire hose of information. Yeah. But we get to our home leagues and it's a little different. Like when I play in an FFC draft, I know what to expect a little bit there. It's annoying, but it's also like, at least I know, but I got a chance in some other leagues of getting that there. I get out of that sort of cycle. I get out of that universe there, I get into a different multiverse and I got a chance at some of these players that have been helium guys that I can't get, and that I think we have to remember that when we're giving our advice too, that we're talking to a greater platform. We're talking to various types of leagues, not just the regs.
That's why I like try to keep my content at least like digestible, that my grandma can watch this, listen to this, and understand at least what we're talking about. And like I do think like going to our home leagues, like we're able to like really like somewhat take advantage and be like, hey man, like I'm in the draft room, like, do you guys see the Patriots record last year? Like Drake May didn't look good at all, man. Like this rookie, man, he still has Travion, Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibbs. Like I try to play Mephisto in the Marvel world, if you know who that is. I try to play the little snake in the grass and like kind of keep, the guys that I really want on my radar rather than, putting them on everybody else's radar in the draft room.
Yep. I think that's really important. And I just got to remember that who is our audience? Because it comes from a lot of different places there. Let's talk a little Matthew Stafford. Let's get this off the table. I teased this earlier here. He's in not the hyperbaric chamber there, but the immortal chamber. I thought at first it was a hyperbaric chamber, like hope it's supposed to be healing, and no, it's to rest his mind, not his back. Although maybe it does have some benefits to his back as well.
Yeah.
This is creeping Aaron Rodgersism here. What's going on with Matthew Stafford?
Listen, man, I know the last couple of weeks have been hard, like from a fan standpoint, and Rams fan, obviously, and obviously from the Rams coaching staff having to talk about this. And like the vibes right now that I'm getting from McVay and the Rams is like they're just taking every single step, the right moves and procedures to do whatever they need to do to get this man 100% for week 1. I don't want Matthew Stafford 100% for week 2 of the preseason. I don't want Matthew Stafford tomorrow 100%. I want him 100% in week 1. If he's going to go to the healing pod or the immortal chamber, whatever the case may be, so be it. Go ahead and do it. I'm not going to sit here and panic and just be like, oh my God, man, this ain't looking good, man. The season's over. No, like they're doing everything they need to do. And McVay has shown us like he ain't panicking. Like he just like really tired of talking about it. And like being able to have the opportunity to speak to DeMarco Farr about this yesterday on the set of Good Morning Football. Like the vibes are chill. Like nobody's worrying, but everybody else in the world is worrying. Like they're making it a bigger deal from what it feels like, okay, I guess we have to address the elephant in the room. Like he's still sore. He's not practicing today. And like, I think that kind of shakes some folks. And me as a longtime diehard Rams fan, like if I'm not worried about it, I don't think any of my friends or everybody else in the fantasy street should be really worried about Stafford, because this is one of the toughest dogs. When you look up dog in the dictionary, it's going to be a picture of Matthew Stafford with his backwards hat looking like Limp Bizkit.
I'll tell you why I'm a little worried. 2022, the preseason. Oh, he's just got a little bit of a sore elbow. He's not taking part in throws in training camp. It's going to be fine. Plays 9 games, and it was not fine. Puka Nacua last year. It's just a abundance of precaution. You know, it's just a sore little Achilles. He missed a bunch of games last year. Obviously, he was great when healthy still when he came back. But man, that hurt missing him those early games this year. I don't trust the Rams and them telling us everything going on here. I've been hurt before.
Yeah, listen, as a fan, I've been hurt. I don't forget. I've been hurt before, but I feel like there may be a different feeling with this one. Because in 2022, we were dealing with offensive line issues where guys just couldn't stay healthy, or we were just grabbing guys that were working at the movie theater the other day, and now they're on the Rams field blocking for Matthew Stafford and dealing with the injuries going into the season, man. Like that's always been our plague. That's always been a problem. But look, man, 2023, we dealt with injuries on the O-line. Kyron goes down. Tyler Higbee goes down. Cooper Kupp and Puka, the last 2 years, it's just been injuries after injuries. But one thing remains the same. We win 10 games. We go to the playoffs. We shake things up. We deal with adversity as probably one of the best teams in the league, because just based on the culture that is built there. Like me as a fan, I'm buying into McVay when he says we, not me, we then me, or looking at this team and like how it's operating right now, the pieces that we have, and why I feel comfortable going out there with Jimmy G the first 4 weeks if Stafford's not 100% ready to go. I'm okay with that because again, we have Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and Sean McVay on the sticks. I have nothing to really be worried about. So like as long as we have the right pieces there on the field healthy, and I think that's why we invested in Devontae Adams, the ship is still going to be able to go. We're still going to go out there and be dogs in our fights, and we're going to come down to the very last wire. It was some games like the Seahawks game where DeMarcus Robinson catches that overtime touchdown. Like these are guys and depth pieces that are in-house with us, and why I can't ever be like super worried or sweating, out of my boots.
If there is a problem early in the season, the conventional wisdom has been that it's going to be Devontae Adams that suffers a little bit more than Puka Nacua.
Correct.
Would you agree with that?
Correct, 100%. I think with Jimmy G, the limitation on the deep ball, at least with Puka, you could design some things up close to the line of scrimmage, a little dip off here, because guess what? Puka ain't going down off the first contact. He's one of those yak kings, and it shows last year playing in 11 games, he almost cracked 1,000 yards. And it's like if you hyper focus on him, he could be that workhorse. He could be the function of that offense. So I think that's where Devontae Adams, he takes a hit in his production dealing with Jimmy G, because again, we all saw the wide receiver doc, man. Get me out of here before I get killed. Yes. Like that. I think, they're cool now. They're teammates again, but I think more so it's like you just hope that Jimmy G doesn't go out there, the first couple of weeks of the season. And folks are investing on Devontae Adams in some of these drafts as wide receiver too. So it's like you're expecting at least the floor to be safe. But if Jimmy G goes out there, I think Devontae Adams takes the biggest hit.
I definitely agree with that. The flip side is if it is Stafford, I think Adams is going to eat in the red zone. I think it's just going to be a case there where he's going to get so many red zone targets, may not get the volume that Puka gets, but he's going to make up for it there in the red zone. So you teased talking about Kyron Williams a little bit. He got paid.
Yeah.
They drafted another running back, Jarquez Hunter, this year after Blake Corum last year. Any concerns about maybe losing some of the volume this year?
Yes, and there's in two areas in terms of touches and then in the striking distance. And now I do think the touchdowns come back to earth. Like I think they come down a bit because the guy we spoke about before, Devontae Adams, he's there to correct our issues that we've had in the last 2 years. Like Cooper Kupp hasn't been available. He hasn't been the guy he's been, be able to create separation, being that red zone threat. And majority of the season, we were without Tyler Higbee. So that's pieces removed. Adam fixes that like a puzzle piece that fits for multiple areas in the puzzle you're building. So it's like Kyron's touches as well. When you're looking at Blake Corum, you're looking at Jarquez Hunter. There's no way that he's going to keep Jarquez Hunter and Blake Corum on the sideline again when we've seen the fumbling issues that Kyron has had. So I do think, he's paid now. Let's play football. But let's change it up because 2020 was the last time the Rams were a top 10 rushing attack. And when I look at that season, I look at who's on that coaching staff. You have KOC as the offensive coordinator, but you also have Liam Cohen on that staff. And that same season is when you had Malcolm Brown, you had Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers, all three just splitting the touches. But that's the last time that we had an offense that was worth talking about as a rushing attack. Now, I'm not saying that Jarquez Hunter and Blake Corum are going to be plug and play there as the number 2 pilot to Kyron, but I do think the number 2 running back, whoever that may be, they're going to have something to say on Sundays. They're going to have something to say in that red zone as well, because we remember coming out of college, remember how good Blake Corum was in that striking distance, man. He put up 20 of those things, 22 of those things, deuce in the red zone. So you best believe that McVay is going to try to explore at least the opportunities for his backup running backs this season.
Corum should have been drafted by the Chargers last year. It would have been a perfect.
Oh man, that would have been great, man. That would have been a reunion. And again, they probably wouldn't be in the situation they were in last year, signing Gus Edwards. But
100%.
That's the pass.
Indeed, it is. We are brought to you by Renegade Fantasy. Fantasy football players, aren't you tired of your top players getting injured or not performing well? Lucky for you, RotoWire has teamed up with Renegade Fantasy, the only fantasy football app where you can sub in a player in real time. This means no more stress, no more points, loss to injuries, or even poor performance. With the Renegade Fantasy app, you can step down from the luxury box and become a real-time coach. Join the RotoWire League on the Renegade Fantasy app today. Go to renegadefantasy.com to claim your free entry into the RotoWire League today. Again, that's rotowire.renegadefantasy.com to claim that free entry into the RotoWire League. Easy for me to say, apparently. All right. I'm here with LaQuan Jones from NFL Network. We talked last year. This year, we're excited to do a little preseason, chopping it up here. Let's talk RJ Harvey. Yeah, Knockshot's just talking about that in Twitter here. I mean, in the forum here. I know you were talking about RJ Harvey on Twitter. He was like the belle of the ball after the draft until they signed J.K. Dobbins. And now we're getting him. It's still not cheap, but I've seen him go in the 70s sometimes, kind of normalizing more to around 60. I think we're starting to see he's going to be the first and second down back.
Listen, I know the folks out there are a little worried about RJ Harvey. Please don't be. I mean, Sean Payton's the king of all trolls, man. Putting him as the 5th running back on that unofficial depth chart. Yeah, right. We've seen how excited you were when you took him off the draft board, and then the following weeks in OTAs and minicamp, singing his praises. And now when we look at the preseason performance, a lot of people are like, oh, he bounces his outside too much. Oh, he's not on third down. Oh, he can't pass block. That's fine. Now we go take the time machine, Jeff. Let's go back to 2017. Follow me. Come on.
Please.
2017 Saints, Sean Payton, man. You got the 1 and 2 of Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. Both of those guys, they finished as top 10 fantasy running backs. You know why? They both had roles in the offense, and you weren't asking Alvin Kamara to pass block much. So therefore, what I'm comparing is the roles that is set for RJ Harvey, where J.K. Dobbins plays that Mark Ingram on third down, because it showed us in preseason, half of J.K. Dobbins' preseason snaps were him on third down pass blocking. Like that's all he's there for. And on third down, when it's third and short, best believe JK's coming in there. What keeps JK employed is his elite vision. That's how you get that yards per carry. That's why you're seeing him being as the dog he was last season for the Chargers. Like the reason why he had that season is because Harbaugh believed in JK and his vision and what he's able to do. But the one thing that JK doesn't have is explosiveness. Unhook the trailer, my guy, last year. Jeez, there's about 4 of those things that he should have took to the house, but it did not. That's why you draft RJ Harvey. He is that guy that can bounce it outside more times than not, outrun most of the guys that are coming at him. He is one of those guys that you can have in the passing game where he runs routes as if he is a slot wide receiver. He has the natural hands as if he was a wide receiver. Now you see the explosiveness in the combine. Go back to his college tapes. Look at his college production. Not one running back on that depth chart has anywhere near the college production that he's had. You go ahead and mention a Jalen McLaughlin or you mention an Audrey Estime. Come on. Are we serious right now? You look at RJ Harvey. He is a specimen that Sean Payton is just rubbing his hands like, I cannot wait to get this guy on the field and just draw up as many plays as I can. And last thing I would say, did we see Javonte Williams last season have over 50 catches? What do you think RJ Harvey's going to do with those, man? Like, geez, like this guy could take it to the house. Same thing that we love Travion Henderson for, from his own 20 and take it to the house. That's an RJ Harvey's utility belt, people. Do not overthink this.
I agree. And that the lowered price is a gift. We no longer have to pay in the 40s.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That's why I'm like, please just keep. Yes. The third down. He can't block. Oh no, God. Yeah. Bust. Yeah. Right.
Poor J.K. Dobbins, because at one point in his career, he did have that explosiveness, but the injuries have just taken their toll, I think.
Yeah, man. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. It is.
Still has his eyes, though. Still has his eyes. He will forever be employed.
Yes, indeed. Let's keep on this vibe here with rookie running backs fighting for jobs, fighting for playing time. Let's talk a little Caleb Johnson with the Steelers. What are you projecting out of Caleb Johnson versus Jalen Warren?
Here's another fantasy streets darling. And I say darling because when you mention his name, they attack or they come outside. This guy has no wiggle in his game. He's a product of a good offensive line, a great outside zone scheme where he's able to bounce outside and make the big plays. Now, I'm not going to say the big plays won't exist with Caleb Johnson. It's just going to be at a lower rate where the big boys are playing. This is the NFL. And there's nothing in the preseason that I saw made me go, interesting. Let me move him up in ADP. Interesting. I am so interested in drafting him in the next 2 weeks. No, he has no wiggle to his game. And I say that because Jalen Warren is going to be the guy that they're going to look to have these explosive plays. He's the guy they're going to look to in the passing game. So where is the upside in Caleb Johnson? He just ends up being a Najee Harris with less experience. And I do think the red zone area is going to be very, very difficult for him to make some noise because you have Kenny Gainwell right now that's making all the training camp noise in the world right now when it comes to where they're lining him up in the slot, where they're lining him up in the backfield with Jalen Warren. You're not hearing Caleb Johnson doing very well in pass blocking. That's one area you should be concerned about. And a guy like Caleb Johnson, I think it's going to take some time to gain that Arthur Smith trust. Now, I call Arthur Smith, he's the fantasy streets boogeyman. You better not trust that man because he's showing us in Bijan Robinson's first rookie year that he will have Jonnu Smith, Desmond Ridder, and Tyler Algier to touch the ball in striking distance over Bijan Robinson. Like, what are we thinking right now? And guess what? Jonnu Smith is back in house. He made Cordero Patterson unemployed because he's going to take that gadget role. So it's like, we really looking at Caleb Johnson as this guy that we're going to take in the rounds where you have Isaiah Pacheco there, DeAndre Swift? Absolutely not. I am running away from Caleb Johnson this year.
Good stuff. I like hearing that. Unfortunately, a dynasty league where I had to draft Caleb versus maybe going after another, he's the last of that running back tier. My dynasty league doesn't like that just because I needed it, and I just had to go that way. Hey,
give me some time.
Yeah, it is a humble brag. I was drafting 12th in this league, so you can do the math on that. But after talking about dynasty startups there, and drafting year 2, drafting 12th, I'll take that. That means good things have happened. But yeah, it is one where I have some concerns with that. I have heard the same sort of things about that, the lack of wiggle, lack of what was the phrase you used there? Lack of
wiggle, lack of explosiveness. I mean, I said a lot, but I can go on and on. Like if I want to go to sleep and like I'm having a long day, I've been on Good Morning Football since 2 a.m. and I just want to chill on the couch and fall asleep. I'll throw on his highlights, man. I'll just fall right to sleep. Snooze fest.
Ouch. All right. Omarion Hampton, we talked about, you kind of mentioned it in, with his price versus Travion Henderson's price. Omarion Hampton had been going in the 3rd round a lot. He had really gotten pushed. He had been pushed out of the running back dead zone into that area there where like, I have to use a real pick on him if I'm going to get him. I'm starting to see that recede a little bit. I'm starting to see him go like in the mid 40s now. Now that Cook has been resolved, that helps too. That's one less running that, you got that gift with Cook. Enjoy it. You're not going to get him behind Hampton. I mean, you're not going to get him after Hampton anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, and Hampton ADP is scaring me. Like he's becoming a household name because obviously, I think it all started when he had that meeting with Harbaugh. Like you seen the picture, right, where he just looks like he is a giant of a man shaking hands with him. And I think that's when people started reacting and really waking up. Like, oh, this guy could be a workhorse and a run first offense. But then you got to remember, man, Greg Roman wants multiple mouths back there in that backfield to keep pounding the rock in that second half. And I do think, with Hampton, like he's the darling. He's the rookie, like he brings qualities of a pass catcher as well. But hate to break it to you, Greg Roman doesn't do much of the passing to the running backs in his types of offenses. If you go back to all his years with the Ravens, so that's not something that's like there for him in a PPR standpoint of leagues. Then you hear the reports yesterday, like, no matter what happens with Najee, like there's going to be a running back, rotation. Like we're all rooting for, Raheem Sanders, like Rocket Sanders. We're all rooting for Kamani Vidals. I know I am. I got a lot of shares of him in previous startups, by the way. So there's always going to be another mouth there. And again, like nothing in the preseason indicated or moved him up or down to me, but you have some folks that are like, oh, he should have bounced it outside and he should have gotten in the end zone. I mean, even if he scored that touchdown, like you're still not moving the needle. Like there's going to be a 1-2 punch there. And I think folks are being a little too bullish on him, where I feel like some folks are like, even as far as like how we mentioned, they're willing to go over, James Cook. I'm willing to go Travion Henderson over Amari Hampton at this point, to be completely honest.
That kind of is a good formula for not getting Hampton, and I'm okay with that. It's a shame we lost Judkins from this rookie class. It's such a good rookie class of running backs. What are you doing with the Cleveland Browns running back situation? Are you just walking away, or are you getting some Ford or some Sampson?
Listen, with Browns and Saints teams, like they're bad. The situations are terrible. It's kind of a headache in the nutcase, but I think when you look at that backfield, like we know what Jerome Ford is. He could be explosive at times, but I don't feel like he's the guy. I love me some Dylan Sampson. Like I'm putting some stock in him because he's going after Jerome Ford in most drafts, to where like I'm not taking any risks. Like if he ends up bombing out and he's nothing by week 4, I just cut loose. Like it's not anything like, I'm risking anything in draft costs. So when you look at the talents, like this guy's explosive, great in between the tackles, great ability to bounce outside if he needs to. And he also could be like a check down receiver that can get the yards after the catch as well. So Sampson possesses some talent that is like similar to Jerome Ford, where you have similar types of the backs, but I think Sampson gets the edge just being a little bit younger, a little bit fresher. And I think he's a little bit hungry for this opportunity, because I would be, you draft a running back and then you draft me. Is like, why was I the second thought? Like, I feel like I'm a starter, so I feel like Sampson has a chip on his shoulder right now. And I think closer to the back end of I would say the season, we'll kind of figure out, what that backfield will look like next year.
Yeah. I don't think the Browns offensive line will be as tragically bad as it was last year. I mean, they lost like 4 tackles in preseason last year. So that will at least maybe give us some hope that they have more of a functional offense. But yeah, it's a work in progress. Nothing we're going to probably be starting in week 1. That's for sure. This podcast is brought to you by Fantrax. Is there something you wish your fantasy league had, or features that are missing from your current leagues? Bonus scoring, custom schedules or playoffs, deeper team settings? Well, look no further, because we have you covered with our friends at Fantrax. Fantrax is the most customizable fantasy platform in the industry, offering the greatest fantasy experience for your dynasty, keeper, redraft, and best ball leagues. Fantrax even offers college fantasy football leagues. Create or join fantasy football commissioner leagues, invite your friends, and dominate your draft this season. Fantrax is the top dynasty fantasy football platform in the industry. Fantrax is running a special promotion you don't want to miss. Sign up for free at fantrax.com/rotowire today to enter for your chance to win a signed Jamar Chase jersey. Simply create a new league or bring over your existing leagues for more chances to win. Go to fantrax.com/rotowire and sign up today. Fantrax, the home of fantasy sports. We're talking with LaQuan Jones from NFL Network. I'm Jeff Erickson. Let's talk rookie wide receivers. What have you seen out of Ted McMillan so far? Are you excited to click on him right now?
I'm excited, and I think that's motivated and fueled by me believing in Bryce. Like, Bryce is walking around with a different confidence right now. He's playing with a different confidence. Like, we're seeing him being a little bit more decisive in and out of that pocket, being able to step up in the pocket and take off running if he wants to. And like fantasy wise, like I think Ted McMillan, like I do think like we're looking at a situation where he could be a solid wide receiver too, like the same tier that we put like Devontae Smith, the same tier we have like the T Higgins, these wide receiver 2 slots, and just staple him as that, because now this offense for the Panthers is a little stacked at the wide receiver room. Like they look like they're moving in the right direction to be a better functioning offense. And I think, he's going to have a solid, rookie year, but I think he only builds with that, and he's going to build with Bryce. So like dynasty wise, like I'm super excited that I took that chance, like I really wasn't in on the Travis Hunter, circus and everything like that, but that's just me. That's usually who I am. When it's a lot of attention going on over there, I usually like to look other places and walk the other way and just find my own way. If I end up back there, cool. But I do feel like, what we saw in the preseason, man, like that's a little bit what we haven't seen on a consistent basis, was like, God, man, they need somebody that can go deep and kind of bully their way to get the ball, like at the catch point. Like I do think, Adam Thielen, he's a serviceable guy, but that ceiling, it's a little bit not more flexible, because we seen him get banged up last year, and like we seen the fall off of that offense without Adam Thielen. Like just think about that, and like I think there's potential there with Jalen Coker. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Coker as well, and like if he can make this offense function as well, that only makes things a lot better for Ted McMillan. McMillan.
Yep. And you look at what Young did last year, and he had some pretty bad wide receiver play. Like Leggett had some catch issues. Even Coker did a little bit there too. I think it's going to be so much better. You got a ball winner like McMillan. He can go out.
That's exactly what you need. Yeah, man. Like that gets you so excited though, because it's like, all right, man, I can invest on these guys. They're still cheap, because like I do think like he's going in the top 25 wide receivers in drafts, and like that's solid. That's where we're taking Devontae Smith. That's where we're taking T Higgins of the world. So, like I can deal with that price, and that's fine. And like in some situations, you're getting them as your wide receiver 3 if you go wide receiver heavy very earlier in the round. So I think that's a filthy combination to get with some huge upside.
Indeed. The last 2 players we're going to talk about, we're going to dig into the weeds a little bit here. We're going to talk about some players who are not necessarily drafting into the last couple of rounds, but you were tweeting about Isaac Tesla of the Detroit Lions. He laid out some people in blocks a little bit in the first preseason game.
What?
Yeah, the Lions traded up. They used draft capital to go get him. How many times do we have to question Brad Holmes and what he does on draft day and then say, oh, I was unfamiliar with your game? Because it's been validated multiple times now. He went out of his way to go get Tesla. Are you thinking about like just adding him in like the last couple of rounds of your draft and see what happens?
If I got the bench spot, yeah, because like when you look at Brad Holmes, you got to remember where he came from. I mean, Les Snead, man, he was with the Rams, McVay, like he's been in that nucleus, and we've been seeing him cook. And like Isaac Tesla, like when we've been seeing like in the preseason games these last 2 weeks, and it's like, seems like a lot of puka in his game. Like this guy's showing up and run block, and this guy can beat you deep. This guy has opportunity after the catch, and he's a big guy. Like he ain't no little guy. And like if you stick him in the slot, boy, you might be seeing some easy layups for Isaac Tesla in the first year. And like that's where I'm like, do I want to watch list him, or do I just want to draft him with my last pick? Because his only roadblock right now is Tim Patrick. And like, I love me some Tim Patrick. Like I remember those Denver days, like picking him up off the wire, like, yo, man, this guy is going to be in the end zone. Like Tim Patrick was the touchdown monster. And then, he's had his story about ups and downs and injuries, but like, man, Tesla is young, fresh, big body, and I think he brings a lot more to the table with John Morton wanting to be super aggressive going downfield. I think that, Isaac Tesla might be a guy mid-season we're going to be running to the wire like, man, I wish I drafted this guy, man.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned watch list, by the way, because, and I know you were tweeting about this too, that this is something that we don't use enough, that, because we can't.
It's not talked about enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the watch list is one of the most underrated tools, man. And like, again, how do you think I found Jordan Mason? How do you think I had my eyes on him in 2022? Nobody was on the internet at all talking about Jordan Mason, but your boy, because again, I utilize that watch list. Like my watch list is probably like 10, 15, 20 players deep, because like I just want to have my eyes on them weekly and go to a list where I could just see them all instead of searching their name and jumping in the waiver wire, scrolling endlessly. Like, no, I'm going to keep my eye on these guys. So I might want to boop as soon as I hear or even see on TV there's something going on and add them to the wire.
Yeah, because again, playing in 30 leagues, it's easy to get distracted. It's hard to remember every single player that caught my eye. Instead of like, oh, where do I have him? Where is he available? You got your watch list. Yeah. I like that idea a lot. Let's talk one last guy digging into the weeds here. This is a guy that's made waves in training camp, and I'm talking about Torrey Horton on the Seattle Seahawks. Different type of receiver than everybody else in Seattle right now. JSN is great. Nothing but love for JSN. I have a lot of shares of him. Cooper Kupp is now playing his wares there. They went out and got MVS just to run deep every once in a while. But Torrey Horton, this is a late draft pick, had a lot of injuries at Colorado State. He's getting a lot of preseason hype. Are you buying any of this?
Now, Torrey Horton came on my radar because I was looking at Ty Felt on Nets now with Minnesota and Ricky White. And I think when you look at Torrey Horton, he could be a lot more than just a deep threat. And I think that's like what we're seeing in preseason. I like how he broke off that route. I like the opportunity after the catch and turn up field. These are the little details that I think that the Seattle Seahawks obviously identified in his game. And it's like, I was late to the party. I have no shares. He's not available for me to pick up off the wire. Folks have been aggressively going to get him because there's a legit opportunity for him to be like the number 2 option in this offense. And I say that because of Cooper Kupp. And again, availability is your best ability. I don't know what's left in the tank with Kupp because he obviously, fell off at the back end of the last season. Again, I'm not on the Cooper Kupp hate train or anything like that, but I'm just saying there's opportunity here for a guy that's a rookie to get on the field and make these big plays. He was heavily targeted in this last preseason game. I think he had 7 targets, and the one interception that Drew Lock threw, man, that's just a terrible ball that Drew Lock threw. Put it to his chest. Why are you lobbing that up for the defender to come behind him to go up and grab that ball? That's on Drew Lock, and I think that, with this opportunity and this offense being very interchangeable under Click Kubiak, which I think is going to be very creative. I think folks are going to be a little bit caught off surprise, but Horton is definitely in that plan, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you, I have been shut out on Horton so far. All my dynasty leagues are done.
I was late. I was like, who is this guy?
Yep, exactly. Him and Dante Thornton. I've been a little late on the train there a little bit, but it's all right. There's still plenty of redrafts. That's what the watch list is for. There'll be leagues where, my redraft leagues where it's 6-man benches, I'm probably not drafting them, but just keep an eye out there. If Seattle shows that they have any sort of productive offense, well, then we'll talk and we'll see what can happen there. Hey, what can I promote for you? I know you're on the NFL Network. You do a ton of podcasts. You do a lot of TV. Where can people find you? Where can they get your stuff?
Hey, man, you can find me at Real Deal Fantasy on all social media platforms, man. I'm talking as deep as the woods of MySpace, Tumblr. It is Real Deal Fantasy, LaQuan Jones, man. You can find me literally everywhere. And doing great things over there at FTN Fantasy as well, where over there we're putting out fire content, short video forms every single week where you're going to hear or see our voice. And we're trying to stay completely tapped into the fantasy streets to get everything to you guys quickly so you can go to your drafts well prepared.
Yeah, good friends of ours over at FTN, so check that out for sure. Hey, LaQuan, thank you so much for spending an hour with me today. Really enjoyed it. It flew by as always. Take care.
Yeah, thank you, man.
That is going to conclude today's podcast. Everybody, thanks for listening. Check out RotoWire. Use promo code YouTube15. Get 15% off any RotoWire product. We'll be back at you again tomorrow. Have a great day.